Hello, everyone, and welcome. It is so good to see you all. Welcome from wherever you are and whenever you are, and Happy New Year. So, I took some time off, in fact, about 3 weeks off, mostly technology detox, and I had a wonderful time. But I must say, I did miss teaching, and specifically teaching in our various programs and meeting students. And I was thinking about the fact that I missed teaching, also in the context of the fifth MA cohort starting in a few weeks. Now, if you'd asked me 3 years ago, when we first launched the MA in Happiness Studies, would I be teaching essentially full time when the fifth cohort came around? I would say definitely not. I knew I would teach the first two, but then I thought, we'd make our mistakes, we'd, iron out the wrinkles, and then I would basically pass it on to others to teach. Well, this is basically what I did in the past. I would teach something once, twice, three times, and then move on to teach the next thing. It hasn't happened with the MA. To be honest, I don't see it happening, certainly not anytime soon. Why? Because I love it. Why? Because each time, every cohort, with just about every student, I see transformation. I see impact, whether it's impact on the school, if the student is a teacher, or the organization, if the student is a business person, a manager, or transformation in terms of being a coach or a therapist or a mayor. And later you'll hear more about what our graduates have been doing. But it's been such an incredible journey for me, and I think for other professors teaching it, as well as for our students, that I must say I just can't get enough of it. And I'm so looking forward to going through this journey with at least some of you who are on this call today. Here is what the next 90 minutes or so are about. So I'm going to start by sharing with you a little bit of what the science of happiness is about. Just broad strokes. Then Professor Ashley Michael, my dear friend and colleague, will talk about the MA student body. Then back to me to talk about the structure of the course. So what are the 20 months? What do they look like? What does each semester look like? What does it include? Then back to Ashley to talk about the application process, as well as the HAT groups, which are an important part of this program. Then we're going to call on two of our graduates, Vicky and Casey, to talk about what they're doing with the MA, and then we open it up for your questions. And your questions can be about the program itself or anything else for that matter relating to happiness. So let me begin with what is the science of happiness, and specifically as it relates to this program. The basic objective of the program is very simple. It's to help our students become happier and to help our students help others do the same. Now, the value of increasing happiness, you know it already. You wouldn't be here if you didn't. But just to reiterate, one value is that it feels good to feel good. We all want to be happier. We all want our loved ones to be happier because it's good in and of itself. Second, happiness is also a means towards other ends. So if you increase levels of happiness, even by a little bit, and we're talking 3-4%, you see a significant increase in creativity, innovation, in engagement, in motivation, in physical health. Relationships improve, whether we're talking romantic relationships or work relationships or parent-child or coach-coachee relationships. Overall performance, whether we're talking about as a manager or in school or as a medical doctor, performance improves significantly when you increase levels of happiness. So the purpose of this program is to increase your own happiness as a student, as well as help others do the same, as an end in itself, as well as a means towards other ends, such as success and health. Now, if there's one thing I can guarantee, when you graduate from this program, if you go through it 20 months hence, I can guarantee you that you will still experience sadness and anger and frustration and disappointment and anxiety. These painful emotions will not go away. They never do. Well, they do when life ends. But until then, you're guaranteed these emotions. What I can also essentially guarantee is that while you will continue to experience these emotions, how you react to them, what you do about them will change. You see, when you increase levels of well-being, two things happen. One, you become happier. Two, you also gain tools to better be able to deal with painful emotions. So if you're at a 3 in terms of happiness levels, you'll probably go to a 4, 5, 6. But if you're at the negative end, maybe a -5, it will also help you get to, well, maybe -2 or even +1. Why? Because increasing levels of happiness also strengthens your psychological immune system. Now, having a strong immune system doesn't mean you don't get sick. As I said, you'll still experience anxiety and sadness at times. But a stronger immune system means that when you get sick, you will recover more promptly, or that you will get sick less often. And this is the benefit of this program. Again, you will still experience hardships and difficulties, but less so. And when you do experience them, you will be able to recover more promptly. When we talk about happiness, we're not just talking about emotions. Yeah, feelings matter, of course, but happiness is much more than that. Happiness is also about finding a sense of meaning and purpose in life. It's about being present, being mindful. Being mindful and present, finding more meaning and purpose in life, that goes under spiritual well-being. Happiness is also about physical well-being, which is about nutrition, it's about exercise, it's about rest and recovery. Happiness is also about intellectual well-being, it's about curiosity, it's about asking questions. It's about deep learning that contributes to physical health as well as happiness. Happiness is also very much about relational well-being. It's about kindness, being generous, cultivating deep, healthy relationships with friends, family, partner, colleagues. And finally, happiness is also about emotional well-being. Emotional well-being is about learning to deal with painful emotions, being more resilient, as I mentioned earlier, It's also about cultivating pleasurable emotions like gratitude and love and joy. It is these elements of happiness, spiritual, physical, intellectual, relational, and emotional, that make up the acronym SPIRE, that are the skeleton, the backbone of our program. And it's by cultivating these five elements, by understanding what they mean and by understanding how you can incorporate them in your life and in the life of others. That is how you will increase your own levels of well being and be able to do the same for others. So, this program is both theoretical, in that it will provide you the theoretical underpinning of happiness through psychology, philosophy, literature, economics. You will look at happiness from different perspectives, but it's not just theoretical. It's very much practical. Unashamedly, it's about self-help. Unashamedly, it's about helping others. Now, I'm going to say more about the courses in a moment, but first, I will hand it over to Professor Ashley Michael to talk about the MA student body. Good to see you, Ashley.
Hi, it's wonderful to see you, Tal, and to see everyone. So the MA student body, I may be a little biased, but I think the MA student body is a very special group to be in. And I welcome all of you who are considering joining to also be encompassed in that identity as an MA student body member. But to give you some of the background of the students, it is very diverse. They come from all different industries and backgrounds. They're human resources, they're business owners, entrepreneurs, Fortune 500 companies. We have students in the MA that are PhDs already, that have masters already. We have a student who has a PhD in quantum physics. We have teachers at all different levels that are professors, that are high school, elementary, preschool, stay-at-home parents. Lots of engineers. We have individuals who are involved in the U.S. military, counselors, therapists, coaches, public speakers, some of which are international public speakers. Tal mentioned we have mayors. We actually have two mayors. We have individuals who work in marketing and advertising. We have dentists and doctors. We have lawyers, CEOs, scientists and researchers, and individuals who work in finance and tech companies and wellness coordinators, all kinds of different things. What's even more exciting than where they came from and what they're doing is where they're going next. So many of these students, I have the pleasure of reading their ideas for the businesses they want to start, for the programs they want to start in healthcare and education, of how they want to change the world and how they're using this content and collaborating with the individuals that they didn't know 2 years before, but are now their new best friend to do so. And being able to utilize someone else's, maybe you're not great at marketing and advertising, but someone that was in the program that you're now really good friends with is really great with marketing and advertising, and be able to put these skill sets together to make something really great. So that's really a joy to see as a professor in the last 4 cohorts, watching the relationships build between the students and watching each individual grow has been amazing. The other thing is the students come from all around the world. That is one of the key benefits of our program and from us being an online program is the fact that we literally have students from all over and you are communicating with them and you're hearing their opinions. So you're getting to hear when we talk about Lao Tzu, you get to hear someone from France's opinion on the reading, someone from the US, someone from Brazil, someone from South Africa, someone from Vietnam, someone from China. I mean, and it really does add to the depth and the understanding of the material and also the experience by being able to have everyone's real lived experience and contribute to their further depth of what they share. Tal, was there anything you wanted to share further about that?
Yeah, no, just that, when you talk about the learning that takes place and having the international cohort, I have notebook upon notebook from these classes, because every class I learn something new. Even for me, I've gone through the material, 4 times already. Still, every time there is something new. And the nice thing about being a part of this special group that you were talking about is that once you join, you're a lifelong member. As I always say, as far as we are concerned, you're a lifelong member. You don't need to stay for life. We don't impose ourselves on you, but you're more than welcome. And that means joining our retreats as a student and then as an alum. Both can join. It means attending weekly webinars that are going to continue taking place as long as we're around. So it's very much, joining for a 20-month program and much, much more. Why? Because, just like I said, you'll continue experiencing challenging emotions for the rest of your life. Hopefully, you will continue learning and growing for the rest of your life. Thank you, Ashley. And I'm going to hand it over back to you soon to discuss the application process. But what I want to talk about now is the structure of the course. So the course is offered through Centenary University. Centenary University has been around since 1867. It's offered in conjunction with the Happiness Studies Academy that also offers a certificate in happiness studies. Now, the course is 100% online and accredited by Middle States. Middle States is the highest accrediting body. It's the same body that accredits Princeton University, University of Pennsylvania, and other top universities in New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and the region. 100% online means that you do not have to attend classes, of course, in New Jersey, which is where Centenary University resides. Many of the students, most of our students, come for graduation, which for many of them it's the first time that they actually see the physical university. At the same time, there are also physical retreats twice a year that, as I mentioned, students and alums can attend. You don't have to, but you can. And these retreats are literally all over the world. So we had one in Italy, and then in Shanghai, and then in Miami, and then in Colombia and Mexico. The last one was in Brazil. Before that was in Finland. So next one is in Greece. So literally all over the world. And we have get-togethers. We had in Australia and Canada and France. And these are opportunities for you to meet with your fellow journeyers, with other students, with us, and deepen the relationships as well as the learning. But they're by no means mandatory, of course. If you're happy with just the online component, or for whatever reason cannot make any of the physical get together, that's perfectly fine. The duration of the program itself is 20 months, which includes the 2 semesters plus a summer semester. So it's just under 2 years. A total of 30 credits that includes more than 1,000 hours of study. The 1,000 hours of study include readings and hat meetings, and that you'll hear more about. They include videos that you will watch online, as well as a weekly Thursday class that is live. Now, that class, if you can attend it live, great, amazing. If you cannot, that's okay. Some people work during these hours or for whatever reason can't attend any or some of the Thursday webinars. So these classes are recorded and you can watch them the following day on Friday at your own time. It's taught in English only, which means the readings are in English. It means that the webinars are in English. The tuition fee is for the total program for the 2 years, 17,700, and you pay as you go along. So each module, which is 8 weeks long, you pay for that module. So there are a total of 10 modules, which you will see in a minute. So every 8 weeks, you would pay $1,770. And Ashley will talk a little bit more about this later. So you pay over the 2 years, not all at once at the beginning. What you need in order to apply is a BA. Now, the BA does not need to be in psychology. Yes, we have quite a few psychology BA grads, but they're not the majority. We have economics and we have history majors, we have philosophy majors, we have business majors. Again, just like in terms of professions, they run the whole gamut. In terms of majors, they run the whole gamut. Now, why do we not require a psychology degree? Because happiness studies goes way beyond psychology. Happiness studies incorporates psychology, specifically positive psychology, and philosophy, and economics, and literature. In other words, it's an interdisciplinary degree. And being an interdisciplinary degree, we don't bias any specific discipline. We're open to all. Yes, you will get a very strong foundation throughout the 2 years in psychology, specifically positive psychology, and you will also learn a great deal about the philosophy of well-being. And you will also focus on leadership in the context of well-being. Well, you'll see that in a minute, what our courses include. Application deadline, you don't have much time, 2 days. So if you are interested in this, there is still time. You can get your application through to Centenary today, tomorrow, the day after. We start January 20th, so that's in about under 3 weeks, I believe. I can't wait. Let me go over the course. So what do these 20 months look like? Again, there are 10 modules. Each semester has 2 modules. The first semester, so these are 2 courses, 8 weeks and 8 weeks. The first one is the foundations of happiness studies. Here you get really the very basics. You understand what the field looks like at the very fundamental, rudimentary level. You understand the basic ideas. You can already start applying. So we're not saying, okay, let's study for a year and then apply it. You'll begin to apply from literally day one. And after you get that foundation, we move to leadership. The reason why we have a leadership course and the reason why it's so early on in the program is because our intention is for you to become leaders in this field. What you will do in this course is learn about individuals who became leaders, introducing the science of happiness in their respective fields. You will learn about teachers who were leaders in their school. You will learn about theologians, about economists, business leaders, different domains. Now, if you're in business, you will learn a lot from the business leader, but you'll also learn a great deal from the leader in the field of theology or the teacher. Because when you learn about leadership in one domain, it's applicable to others. So this is the first semester, 2 modules. Second semester, module 3 and 4, are both introduction to happiness studies. Here, you will go through the SPIRE model. Remember, spiritual, physical, intellectual, relational, and emotional. Learn about each one in depth. Learn about studies and research, and learn what Marcus Aurelius, the philosopher, or Lao Tzu had to say about these SPIRE elements thousands of years ago. You will also learn about the most recent research in neuroscience and how that informs our understanding of happiness, and not just on our understanding of happiness, our ability to apply this understanding in your life and the life of others. So that's semester 2. Semester 3, that's modules 5 and 6, are all about application. So in the second semester, we talked about theory and application. Here the focus is application. How can you enhance levels of well-being? What tools and techniques, evidence-based scientific tools and techniques, can you apply in your life, in the life of others? Again, whether you're a coach or a therapist, whether you are a business leader or a parent, how can you apply these ideas in yourself and others? The fourth semester, this is module 7 and 8, we begin by studying philosophers who talked about happiness. We explore Confucius and Lao Tzu. We explore Émilie de Châtelet, the French philosopher, as well as Tererai Trent, talking about Ubuntu. We talk about philosophers from different areas. So just like the program is interdisciplinary, it's also international. There is so much wisdom out there on the good life, on happiness, on well-being. What we did in this program was we integrated that knowledge, again, from different disciplines and from different locations. Then we go on a retreat. This SPIRE retreat, you don't need to go anywhere. It can be in your home. My retreat space is actually right here. And during that course, we apply what we learned in the previous 7 courses. We apply it towards us becoming happier. Whether it's through meditation, or through journaling, or through creating a mind-body program around nutrition and physical exercise, taking action towards becoming happier. So this is a course where you apply the material to yourself. The next course, this is the final semester, we look at film and poetry and literature, short stories, and learn from those and apply the lens of the SPIRE model. Apply what we have learned to these poems and films and stories. And the final course, if in the SPIRE retreat we applied these ideas to ourselves, we learn to apply these ideas to others. We bring it all together into a powerful, coherent intervention program. Now, needless to say, during the SPIRE retreat, you will learn a great deal about yourself, and you will also learn about others. Similarly, when it comes to coaching, you will learn a great deal about helping others, and you will also enhance your ability to help yourself. So this is the outline of the course. What I'd like to do now, and again, we'll have time for your questions in a few moments. I would like to hand it over to Ashley, who will talk about the application process.
Thank you, Tal. So the application process is very exciting because it is the start of your journey into the Masters of Happiness Studies. So the first step is to apply on the HSA website. To do so, you'll go to the HSA website. I'm sure someone can put that in the chat if you're not already familiar with that. And you'll complete the form and pay $72, the application fee. The application fee will be refunded to you once you register for the program. Then what will happen next is your account will be created for you on the Centenary site, and the login details and next steps will be shared with you. So basically all you need to do right now is go in, apply, pay the $72, and then the next steps will be sent to you of what you have to do next. What you should know though is the other things that you will need to provide are your transcript. And if you are not currently if you haven't graduated from a English speaking program, either in the United States or in a different country, then you will also have to do an English proficiency test. And the English proficiency test also has to be sent to Centenary. So the transcript, if you are within the United States, typically you can go on to your undergraduate university and just request that they send an electronic transcript. Sometimes it's free, sometimes it costs like $10, and that pretty much happens overnight. That's very quickly. You want that to be sent to the email that's showing right here, matthias.o'neill@centenaryuniversity.edu. Again, if you have not yet applied, once you apply, this information will also be given to you for the next steps. But it wouldn't hurt to write that down right now as well, if you so you have it. So please jot that down. That when you go to do the transcript, if you are international and your transcript, if it is your transcript is shown in a different language than English, then you will have to have that translated. There is an organization called WEST, and you can see the website down here, www.west.org, that will translate that for you. That is something you want to start doing right away. So I would get on that whole process as soon as possible. If you submit the application and you get everything started, we can work with you, of course, with the transcript and the English proficiency to get those final parts in. But most important is to get your application in today or tomorrow, and then to start the whole process of the transcripts. If you have any questions about anything, you can reach out to HSA for more information about the application process. That email we'll also put in the chat is info@happinessstudies.academy. But again, I want to reiterate that the English proficiency and also the transcript does need to go directly to Centenary, and it has to be the official version of your transcript. And that's sent again to Matthias. So that is the application process, although you're seeing a lot of words as we're talking, is actually quite simple. So once you start getting into it, but if you do have any problems, as with everything all the way through in this program, we are happy to support you and answer any questions that you have. And I think that's worth sort of mentioning as well, is that if any of you are currently having any fears about, that you've been out of school too long, or that you aren't tech savvy, that you have small children, that you work full time, you don't have enough time, any of those things, I promise you, we have seen all of those things in the past from students that are currently in the program or students that are recent graduates. So just as Tal said, after 20 months, we don't say goodbye like many programs I'm sure you've been in the past. You graduate and then you leave and you never really see anyone again, except it may be a reunion like 10 years later. We also don't leave you in the beginning or the middle. So if you need anything along the way, we help you do it. So if you've been out of school for a while or you haven't, you're not the most tech savvy person, we ways to help you. We have ways we reach out to you to help you get through the process. So if any of those things are standing in your way from wanting to apply right now, please know that you are not alone, and many, many others have had that same feeling who have graduated and have flourished in the program. So in terms of the eligibility requirements, again, you must demonstrate a proficient level of English, and this can be done in two ways. The first is completing an English test. You have the option of these different English tests. Again, you just take the test and then you submit the score to Matthias. Or if you did your degree in an English or English speaking country, or in an English or non-English speaking country, but it was an English program, that will also qualify. So basically, if you have in any way, shape, or form attended a English speaking degree program, bachelor's or master's or anything like that, you can submit that as also as proof of your English proficiency. So tuition fee and payment schedule. So the nice thing about our program is that it is broken up into lots of little pieces in terms of how you can make your payments. I am someone who has paid their way through many degree programs, so I very much understand the benefit of being able to make small payments versus very large, big payments for your tuition. So the fee for our program is for the entire 20 months is $17,700. If you have previously done the certificate in happiness studies, the amount that you paid for the certificate, if that was, $4,000, something like that, whatever amount it was, that comes off of the total cost of the MA. So you're not paying twice for that. It comes off the cost. And if you are currently in the certificate and you haven't yet finished it, this question comes up a lot. You can jump into the MA as well. You don't have to wait until you finish the certificate. You can join right now. You basically will cover a lot of the material that's in the certificate and more. So, and not have any cost problem because you'll get that amount off of what your tuition is. You can pay by class that you take, not all at once. So this is what I was saying about how it's broken down. So what this means is because each class you take one class at a time, which is really wonderful. So many of our students work full time. And so this makes it very accessible for people to have a family, to work full time, to have lots of other things going on in their life at the same time as this program. And then this program is just something that enhances all of those things. The classes are 8 weeks at a time. So you can pay 8 weeks at a time, which means that you're basically paying $1,770 every roughly 8 weeks, every 2 months or so. Which makes it a lot more manageable to be able to make the payments than having to come up with a larger sum all at once. So that is sort of the overview of the application process and the tuition. Tal, was there anything you wanted to share further before we talk about hat groups?
Why don't you talk about hat groups?
Okay. All right. Well, hat groups. Hat groups are frequently cited at the end of the program as one of the students' favorite things. And the reason being is I think Tal has mentioned a couple times about deepening relationships and deepening the learning. And I think the hat groups really provide that opportunity. Sometimes I've done an online program before, and sometimes when you're considering an online program, you're like, oh, okay, this is really flexible. It's really convenient. I love this. I can do my homework in my pajamas. I can attend a live webinar in my pajamas if I want to, that kind of thing. But I won't necessarily get to connect with the students. The hat groups are one of our many answers to this situation because it allows you to build the relationships with 3 or 4 other members. Each semester, you are placed in a group with 3 or 4 other students where you come together and you share in the experiences and you support one another. This is a very different grouping than if you have ever been in business school or any kind of program where you're put together with a group of students and told to put a project together. You are not coordinating times for who's going to write what part of a paper or anything like that. So you get none of the bad parts of the group work and all of the good parts. So you get to interact with your other classmates who, again, are from all over the world, and hear their perspectives Have them give you support on what you're working on, give you some insight. They don't grade you, you don't grade them. It's just meant to be a very collaborative, supportive opportunity, and the students become really close with their hack group members. And what I think is a testament to the hack group members and the hack group program is that every time as a professor, students will write me and be like, I love this hack group so much. Please let me stay with these 3 or 4 students for the next, semester. I don't want to be with anyone else. We're so close. We bonded so much. And I say, okay, I appreciate that, but we're going to move you around. And then the next semester, like, oh my gosh, I didn't think I could possibly love another hack group as much, but I like this hack group even more. And so the relationships that they build, and the amount of exposure you get to all the different students is really wonderful. So just to kind of give the more tangible aspects of the hack groups, they meet about 3 to 5 times a semester, and it's broken up over each of the courses. And it's usually you coordinate through Zoom or something like that, and you meet for about an hour, sometimes a little longer. And again, it's with students all over the country. And I'm sure our graduates will talk about the hats when they talk about their experience, because it is something that seems to leave quite the impression on the students. Tal, anything you want to share further about the hat?
Yeah, just that, the number one predictor of happiness is relationships. And so it's no big surprise that the hat groups are such a hit, because deep relationships are formed through those hat groups. And I must say, when we go on retreats, I can tell from afar when ex hat group members meet in person for the first time. I mean, the joy there is palpable. So yeah, these head groups are really special, really powerful, and in general, this is one of the, if not the strength of the program. Specifically, the content for the program is great, but that's easy. I mean, how difficult is it to create great program when you draw on Lao Tzu, Confucius, Martin Seligman, Sonia Lubomirsky, the great psychologists, the great philosophers, when you draw on Shakespeare and Helen Keller and Emily de Châtelet? Easy to create great content. What's more challenging is to create a great community. And I believe that we have achieved that. And one of the building blocks, one of the most important building blocks of that community are the hat groups. Of course, so are the retreats, so are the weekly meetings, so are the various exercises that students do together. And all these add up to a very powerful relational well-being experience. Thank you, Ashley. And Ashley will be back and will answer questions with me. But now I'd like to call on 2 of our graduates, and we will start with Victoria Wilson, who graduated with the first cohort. Hi.
Hello.
Wonderful to see you.
Wonderful to see you too. Do you want to ask me anything, or you want me to just?
I want to ask you to share.
So the MA program for me, I had been looking for a long time for an MA program. I'm a little bit older, so I finished my bachelor's many years ago, and I could never find a program that just kind of fit for me. There was always, I like this part, but not that part. I'll have to tolerate that in order to get this. And I met Tal and Yuval at Happiness Wahasu Summit, right when they were introducing the master's program. And when I saw the program, I couldn't believe that it felt like a program that was written for me. It felt like it was what I was looking for all along, without really anything that I had to just deal with. And so I signed up actually that day. I signed up right there, and I had been researching for years on programs, and I loved the master's program. It was probably one of the best things that I did for myself. And I'm a mom. I have 3 kids, 2 dogs, and everything else, a full-time job and all these other things. And so I wasn't really sure. And I've been out of school for a really long time. So I wasn't sure how it was going to work, how I was going to find the time, and if I was going to be able to maneuver, because it had been so long since I had done schoolwork. And it worked. There's such a beautiful flow to the program, to the way that it's written, to all of the components that Ashley and Tal talked about, with the hat groups and it being online, and then having the weekly meeting, and kind of all those components made it easy, I want to say. I mean, and for a master's, I am ADD to the max, on top of all the other stuff that I said. So I was really afraid, like, how am I going to be able to, with it being somewhat asynchronous, how am I going to be able to get my work done, and to kind of, to prepare myself appropriately. And I had no issues. I mean, I loved the content so much that I was always looking forward to it. I never felt like a chore. I could go on and on. And, they talked about the hat groups. The hat groups were an amazing thing. Recently, one of the hat groups that I had participated with, we do these challenges, 30-day challenges, and we then connect with each other to just kind of support each other. And there's no pressure if you don't follow through. It's kind of like, how are you doing with everything? And I've been wanting to exercise again for a really long time, and everybody started talking about doing different forms of exercise. So what my challenge originally was, I decided to switch and to make it joining Pilates, trying a class in Pilates. And I have now been going to Pilates 5 days a week, committed. And that's something that's one of the things that I wouldn't have done had I not had this connection with this group of people, and the support and all of the discussions that we had. And I felt safe enough to say, I haven't done anything in a really long time. And so now that's kind of one more thing from this program that has changed a lot of things in my life. So my physical well-being. I don't know what else I could talk about, anything really. The content, the amount of work. I'm sure that some people feel like full-time jobs, families, and things like that. How am I going to fit another thing in? And I can only tell you that one of the things that I love about the program, and about the professors, and about the way that Tal structured this, is that when I went to school a long time ago, it was kind of almost like they were trying to catch you doing something wrong, or not submitting the right paper, and that's not the way that this is at all. Everything is really about helping us to be better versions of ourselves, with the understanding that we're adults, and that most of us have lives and have other things that we have to do. But if you're coming here, usually it's like-minded people, people that are kind of attracted to the same type of thing, wanting to be leaders, wanting to be people that help change the world, help change their families' lives, help change their own well-being. And so the content is something that I literally found myself constantly going back to, even when I didn't have to. I wanted to learn more. I wanted to experience more, because it changed my life in a lot of ways. It changed my life. It changed my children's life. It changed, my experience within my organization at work. And then on top of it, it has changed the trajectory of kind of where I'm headed with my own life, business-wise. So the academic and what we were taught, because as Tal said, or I think it was Tal said earlier, it's not just the academics you're learning, it's interdisciplinary. There's so many things that you're learning. So you're learning from business leaders, and you're learning I was thinking about one of the things he talked about was neuroscience, and I had seen somebody had asked a question about that, and I was thinking about, again, I'm ADD to the max, and certain things scare me, and when they scare me, a shield goes up, and it kind of like I can't absorb anything. So even just that word neuroscience, brain studies, just does something to me, gets me nervous, and makes me think that I can't understand. And I did the work that we did, and the things that we learned about mirroring, and about how we could change uh, our brain patterns, the neurons in our brains, and how we could change our thought patterns. And there's a saying, your brain only knows what you tell it, right? So, and if you tell it bad things, it's going to seek out the proof for those things. And when you tell it good things and you start to fill it with other things, it starts to seek out that proof as well. So there's so much science behind all of these things. And I can't say enough about what this program has done. And I said the last time I was speaking somewhere, and my brother and I'm a triplet, and my brother and I both started our degrees at the same time, but he was going back. He had just retired from his career, and so he was going back to finish off his bachelor's degree in psychology, and I was starting the master's program. And his work he was like so overwhelmed, and some of the stuff that he was studying, he had to do it just to get to the next phase. And he'd look at me and he'd be like, you seem so happy in what you're doing. And I was like, I am. I love this. I love what I'm doing. And one of the things that's really important, and Tal talks about the SPIRE model, is our own well-being as well. So it's not just taking that information out into the world, but it begins first with us. And so if we're not taking care of ourselves, how can we pass anything on to anybody else? And so there's such a concern for our own well-being throughout the semesters and throughout the work that we do. So the semesters are built on, part of it is built on meditation and learning breath work and all of these things that help you to self-regulate, to calm down, to stop and pause and breathe, and to change your mindset, change your thinking, change your life, to look at things a little bit differently. And that was one of the building blocks put into each semester. And Tal and Ashley and Enrique and all the other professors would make sure that we were actually taking part, gratitude journals, so many other things, because it was really important for our own self-care and our own well-being to be as good as it could be, so that we could then in turn absorb this information and bring it on to other people. So I love this program. I think that it is phenomenal. I think that what it can do personally for you, for your families, and then professionally as well, and the directions that you can head in, there's no limit. Like, there's no cap to it. And it's not just something like, okay, I had been doing certificates and things. I have tons of certifications prior to this. And each time I still was left with, okay, you still have to kind of do something, figure it out. And this brought it all together because there's a coaching element. And so I'm a coach as well as a social worker, and I work with substance abuse and alcoholism. And now I do public speaking, and I do workshops, a lot of workshops based on this information, based on the SPIRE model. I became an adjunct professor teaching, actually facilitating happiness. So there's so many opportunities. And when I was brought, and Tal, at any time you can wave the flag because I don't know how much I'm supposed to say, but I remember asking Yuval and Tal right in the beginning, am I going to, two things. One, is Tal going to be somebody that I can connect with, or are you just showing us him and then he's going to disappear and it's going to be all these other people? And the second thing was, is there opportunities for me when I finish the program, outside of opportunities that I can gain, for myself? Are there potential teaching opportunities or any other opportunities that I can maybe gain through the program? And they said yes to both. And so Tal has been, so available to everybody. And Ashley and Enrique and Phoebe, they've all been available. And like I said, now I'm an adjunct professor teaching part of this component. So so there's just so many things that you can do with this program. And if there's anything else you want me to say, I'm happy to.
Vicky,
Uh,
I was going to say that. Oh, I'm sorry, Tal, go ahead.
um, just to comment, Vicky, on one of the things that you said that, you started Pilates thanks to a 30-day challenge. So one of the things that happen in hand groups is that you become an accountability buddy for another, and
Mhm.
you have accountability buddies. Now, we know from research that if you have someone who is looking after you, who is holding you accountable, again, not in a guilt-inducing way, but in a supportive way, that increases the likelihood that you
Mhm.
will actually bring about lasting change. It increases that likelihood by 200%.
Mm.
So again, the whole program, this is just one example of how the program is created around the focus of application, of how can it bring about change in your life and the life of others. One of the reasons why I'm sticking around is because
Mm.
I have accountability buddies in this program as well. So thank you, Vicky, and I'm looking forward to seeing you on Wednesday on one of our mini retreats. This one in
Yes,
New Jersey, close to home for me.
absolutely.
Thank you, Vicky.
Thank you.
Ashley, did you want to ask something?
I was just going to highlight how I know Vicky, and if Vicky, if you want to elaborate on it at all, how Vicky was able to utilize the MA in happiness for a recent collaboration she's doing with her local police force, and I thought that was really interesting and exciting. Yes, so that was all I was just going to share, but
Yeah.
and how they
So
were so excited.
I'll tell you that quickly. So because I'm sure that people want to know kind of what do I do with this? Like, what can I do with this? And so two things came up for me besides the workshops and the public speaking and things like, and the teaching. One was my local elementary school that my kids went to. I had reached out to the principal there and just kind of mentioned to him, hey, I did this program, and actually I've gone on to the PhD as well because I loved it so much and I want to keep learning. But I did this program. I have my master's, and this is what I'm doing. And he was like, hey, can you create an 8-week program for our students? And can you create like a teachers, like a train the trainer for our teachers on happiness? It's so needed. And I was like, yeah, I mean, and so I'm in collaboration with him right now to create a mini program for the students and for the teachers. And then he's going to bring me in just to also to do a presentation for the school on how important this whole SPIRE model and happiness information is for everybody. And the second thing is I went to a training, as I said, I work with substance abuse and alcoholism. And I went to a training through work that was presented by the prosecutor's office, and it was for the police training academy, but not for new police officers, for officers, detectives, and officers that are already on the job. And I went to this class, and the one thing that I noticed as I went was that there was everything that we were looking at was how to help the people that were in need, right? A lot of mental health and substance use, how officers and how we can help those people. But there was nothing on how to help the officers and the first responders, which is so important and so imperative for their well-being. So I brought it up to the person who had created the program, and it's called crisis intervention training is what the program is. And he immediately, grabbed onto what I was talking about, asked me to come back, the next day to speak to other people, and then asked me if I would be willing to become part of their curriculum for their trainings. Because it's so important. And as I explained to him what I learned and all about the SPIRE model and and all the things that we've learned through that, he felt that it was so important to get that information out there and for that to be a component in their training. And they hadn't even thought of it. And so then they invited me back for a few more trainings to do with them. And they've started to collaborate with me on getting me into this program that they're going to do, and they run it 2 or 3 times a year. So, and from there, the networking and the connections that have happened for me, it's like kind of like one step is just leading to another. So,
yeah. Thank you, Vicky. Wonderful. So I'm going to call Casey now to share with us.
Thank you, Tal. I
Hey.
am happy to be here. Happy to see you again. I'm Casey Marin. I currently live in Romeo, Michigan. I am a high school teacher. About 6 years ago, close to the time when COVID started to erupt and spread in everybody's lives in a number of ways. My school was doing hybrid learning, and I pitched the idea for a positive psychology class. And so I found out I was one of the first to get positive psychology as an elective in public education. I went to my board and presented the material, and one of the things that I used to talk about well-being in schools was science, because I knew I was going to be teaching meditation. I knew I was going to be hovering around matters such as spiritual well-being, and I had been a little bit familiar with some of Tal's work, but I came across this program by happenstance. I started the positive psychology class. It was going very well, and every time I told parents at parent-teacher conferences what their children will be learning, they were like, "Oh, I need a class like this for myself." And so I started to get my wheels turning. And so I started looking into starting a little LLC. And I went forward with that. And now I am a well-being consultant as well as a high school teacher. And just like Victoria shared, I have a full plate, and I had a full plate going into this master's program. But I was waiting for something that I felt called to, that I would be using immediately, and that's what I've done from the very, very beginning of this program. I was familiar with a lot of the content, or at least the surface level of the content, being naturally interested and passionate about psychology and human behavior and well-being, and studying mindfulness-based stress relief and learning to cope through some of my own adversities. And that is something that we all face in life, adversity at every level. It begins when we're born and we encounter the adversities that our parents go through, and we absorb a lot that we don't understand. But what I've learned through this program is a lot more about myself. The idea that you have to fill your cup first before you can overflow your cup into others has really had a lasting impact on me. Stuff like permission to be human gave me permission to take risks and to be more vulnerable with my classmates, to be able to show up every week with like-minded, like-hearted people. It gave me a boost of happiness to spread, and that's what happened whether I was aware of it or not. That's one of the first things I noticed, is how the changes that were happening within my own life and in my own whole being, whole person well-being. I started to notice changes happening with my kids, with my wife, with my parents, with my brothers, then with my students, then with my coworkers at work, then with my superiors. And as a result of those connections that were happening organically, just because I was focusing on self-fulfillment, it's not selfish, it's self-fullness. And that's something that Tal talked a lot about. I started to challenge myself to expand on what I was already doing. In terms of teaching, I got into positive psychology after my sister-in-law, who struggled with mental illness and a variety of other challenges throughout her life. She took her life shortly after moving from New Orleans to Michigan. And after the initial dust settled, I knew I needed to take the pain and channel it into something productive. And that's exactly what this program has helped me do. is not only was I healing, but I was learning how to help others heal and how to provide an environment of psychological safety for my students, for my community. And that's where this has expanded from. Getting to go to Mexico City for one of our retreats and share my Forever project, which is something you all will get a chance to explore. There's always another layer of the onion, and you can always add on to what you've built. And you look at this spiral of knowledge that you've gathered from the very first moment of your life to where you are now, and all of it is relevant. That's the another takeaway too is I've connected with so many different people in so many different fields and cultures and walks of life, and I've seen connections flourish. There's a student in my cohort, John Jeff, who has just written a book. And we have pre-ordered a copy, my wife and I both. And apparently from John Jeff, we're in there. But the reason he was able to do that was because of somebody in his hat group who happened to be a book editor or publisher. And she's like, no, you need to do this, and jumped in to help him. And so that is the environment that you'll be in. You'll be learning alongside people who want to not only better themselves, but better the world. And the world needs happiness in a variety of ways. So to kind of pivot towards where I'm going, I have worked with several different sports teams in my high school. I've worked with the teachers and my administrators. I've worked with parents. I've held workshops for my community and was asked to be on a podcast for my community to share what I'm doing and how the stuff that I'm teaching in my classes, the content, how parents and families at home can support that learning. And so this is just expanding that spiral of knowledge. Where can I take this next? And my calling, my ultimate goal is to embed well-being sciences and practices into schools all over the country and all over the world so that we can impact a macro change, but beginning at a micro level. And that's where, going back to what Tal said, is it begins with you. And so I'm starting to build my networking, I guess, portfolio and starting to get my ideas refined. And one of the last things that I took away from the last webinar that I attended, which, by the way, everybody was in tears. Tal said, you're going to experience every emotion throughout this program. And I definitely experienced every emotion: frustration, pain, suffering, but joy, bliss, curiosity, creativity, and a deepened understanding of my well-being and the interconnectivity of all of us and what we're doing. So the last webinar, Tal said, this is not over, continue studying. And now I have something, I know what to study, what to look for with both within myself, my own physiology and my own psychology. And I'm able to track my well-being better. You'll learn to do something called Aspire Check-in. I do one every week, and I do a massive one every month. Um, Spire Binder. I'm beginning to have my students build one of their own so that they have kind of like a live operating system, so they can not only continue to add to their well-being, but to be able to pass on what they have learned to others in need when they see that opportunity arise. So hopefully that was enough for you to get an idea. But thank you so much for your time and for listening.
Thank you, Casey. I'm so glad you talked about how you will continue. You do the research also within, and one of the things that we talk about in the program is, of course, research. But no less important, we also talk about me-search. So research is about looking at the science out there. Me-search is about studying yourself. Both are important if we are to understand how to increase our levels of well-being. Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Vicky. And now we're opening it up for questions. And I see we already have a hand. If you want to ask a question, just raise your hand like this, and we will call on you. Laura,
So
how are
this
you?
question is actually for Casey. And I'm hoping that you can say a little bit about your hoodie and your positive view.
Sure, yeah. So this is actually a friend. His name is Kenny Spear, and he started something similar. He came from a completely different background. He was a drug addict, and he was coming from the bottom, and he had life-changing events that re-inspired his calling. And he went from working in a pharmaceutical company to working in and teaching. And so he goes into schools, and we've collaborated before. But my business is Life School Collective. I decided to rock the Positive U instead of Life School Collective, but that's what it is. He goes into schools and tries to help nurture some of the similar elements as Spire, Perma V, the seven focus areas of life. They all pertain, but I feel though Spire helps us navigate and nurture the interconnectivity of all parts of our well-being.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, and thank you, Casey. And just to highlight something that Casey was just said, we introduced the model of Spire, but one thing that we emphasize is that we ultimately want you to come up with the model that is the best fit for you, that you feel most comfortable. Some choose Spire, others choose, PERMA, which is Professor Seligman's. Others make up their own model, which is a variation of an existing or a synthesis of existing models, whatever works. Spire is not the end all, it's the beginning of an important conversation around happiness. Linda, you're muted, Linda.
There, yes, got me.
Hi.
Hi. I just came in when you were describing what SPIRE means. Can you spell that out for me?
Yeah, SPIRE stands for spiritual well-being, physical well-being, intellectual, relational, and emotional well-being. Again, this is the model that we teach, that we start with, and we build on that.
Terrific. I'm just already warmed by there's a feeling about all of you, or the ones I can see, and the ones who have spoken, where I feel like you're sitting right where I am with me, close by. There's this, I guess I want to use a big word, presence, right? That this is thrown around a lot, but it's like very meaningful. And I would really like to do this. I'm not sure I can afford it. So, and to move on it this quickly. But I'm just going to kind of suspend that because I don't know. Maybe it might happen. But as I looked at the outlines of what you said, it seems like it resonates with a lot of what I've been doing in my life already to some degree, but to think that maybe some of them, they're dormant or they've fallen back, or I have isolated. I was very sick with COVID twice. And between 21 and I'm a visual artist, but also a writer and a poet and a professional storyteller. And I had the question, do you bring in the expressive arts? And I thought, oh, I'd love to show all of you a beautiful form of, it's called touch drawing, and it's a process-oriented form of making, but it's like, I got so excited inside. I went, this is something everyone could enjoy, and you don't have to have any talent or previous experience. But anyway, I just want to keep listening. I just want to keep hearing from each person. I loved Victoria's beginning, and it helped me to hear someone was older because when you talked about getting a transcript, I mean, no kidding, my transcript was before computers. Okay, before they were spit out by computer. So, I mean, it was typed and handwritten. I was like, but I know I did do some graduate studies later in psychology and education, philosophy, actually. I was going, wow, here's something that brings back a whole yard of interests that are very much a part of me. And I just think, I lost myself, or a part of, there's been maybe several psychological deaths. I might be going through something like that now, but I'm not as, I'm just more patient.
Mm.
I'm more patient to seeing, to not like trying to, I'm not trying to fix it, but I'm just drawn to this. I'm drawn to all of this. That's all I want to say.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, Linda. I love that you said that a lot of what you heard is already familiar, things that you have been doing. The reason why we do me search, meaning also look
Right.
inside, not just research, look at what's out there, is because a lot of what we're doing already works or has the seed of something that can flourish. And
Yes.
when we look inside and we study ourselves, we know what do we want to do more of? What do we want to get rid of? What do we want to bring that is not there from the outside? And we create this, as Vicky was saying, the best version or best versions of ourselves. You talked about touch drawing and how you would like to teach it. That's one of the wonderful things is that fellow journeyers, students bring in their expertise, whether it's in storytelling, whether it's in management, whether it's in Pilates. They bring their expertise in, we share it, and we grow together. When you have like-minded and like-hearted people, magic happens. Thank you, Linda. And
Welcome. Thank you.
if the time is right,
Right.
we're here. Thank you. Um, is
Hi,
it?
I am Mehran.
Hi, Maran, please.
Thank you for your explanation about this journey. And I have two questions. If I am unemployment anywhere, how I can employ to other organizations such as hospital or mental health center. And the second question is, what is different between ICF certificate in field of PCC or MCC and this certification?
Yeah. So these are great questions. Actually, Ashley, uh, if you're
Sure.
here,
I
yeah,
am. I'm here.
I'd love for you to tell our participants today about your million job project.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, I'm happy to do that. And I'm also happy to answer your question. That what we're talking about is a master's degree, so it's very different than the ICF certification. So I'll just say that first. That's a coaching certification that just certifies you as a coach. This is a master's degree where you can, just as you have a master's in chemistry or in math or English, this is in happiness studies. So it just allows you to have a higher level credential to go to be a chief well-being officer or happiness officer or to do different things like that. But yes, we are, launching, it's the beginning stages of a million happiness jobs project. And the idea is to bring our community all together and to, in the next 10 years, have a million happiness jobs out into the world. So by doing a whole bunch of different ways of collaborating with different businesses, with the local government, with all different kinds of areas of society, and working together to make happiness a job that is more prevalent and out there in the world to increase well-being and happiness for everyone and to make it a, I like to always say that, gluten-free food, running, veganism, all of these things, they all started in the beginning. Google, Yahoo, all these things, started somewhere and everyone didn't really know what they were. And then they started to get big and everybody wanted to get involved in those kinds of things. So, I think that we're at the beginning stages and that there's a tremendous amount of opportunity for how much this can be spread out, how much this can go, because at the end of the day, what do you want for your children? What do you want for your family members? What do you want for yourself? It's happiness. And so this is not something that is, not something that's universal and appreciated worldwide. It has been throughout history and it is currently. So we just need to get it out there. And you, hopefully, if you're involved in this program, will be on the ground stages with us to make this into what we hope to be a gigantic movement to increase happiness throughout the world. We all know it is very much needed. So
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Ashley. And again, if you, with a degree in happiness studies or with the knowledge of the happiness studies field, you will be able to be a better manager, a better leader, a better lawyer, and a better coach and therapist. So whatever area you apply to, because we know happiness enhances creativity, innovation, productivity, performance in general, you will potentially benefit from it.
Thank you. Is there
Susan.
any opportunity that after we graduate, you suggest or offer to other organizations that we can employ?
Yes. So what, just like when you go to, at least in the US, when you go to colleges, there is an Office of Career Service that helps place you or helps you find a job or brings together the job offerings. We are doing the same for happiness. So can we guarantee a position? Of course not. But we're doing a lot to significantly increase the likelihood that you will have a place to go where you can make an impact and find meaningful employment.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Susan.
Yes. Hi there.
Hi.
I got an email maybe about a half hour before this webinar started, and I find what you're saying very intriguing, and I'd like to pass information on to others about the program. I was very surprised, though, to hear, unless I heard wrong, that there are 2 days to make an application. And I'm wondering what the thinking is behind that, because it's a big decision, not necessarily financially, it's definitely a big decision. And also making a commitment, a 2-year commitment or a lifetime, I guess more of a lifetime commitment. What is the thinking behind that? That's the first question. And the second, can you speak about the areas of expertise of some of the faculty and yourselves?
Sure. So the thinking behind the looming deadline is that the deadline's been around for a very long time.
I didn't know that.
Right. So which is fine. Which is fine. So what do we do now? Well, if you want to apply that, or someone who wants to apply that, that's fantastic. If not, the next cohort will launch in a year, or you can also decide to start with a certificate program. And the certificate program starts in a month or in 5 months, because the certificate program starts every 4 months. And if you like the certificate program, you can then roll on into the MA. As Ashley mentioned earlier, if you pay for the certificate program, that amount comes off your payment for the MA program. So you can start with a certificate, and then, if you like it, continue with the MA, or wait a year and start with the next MA cohort. As for expertise, so I started off in the world of business. My PhD is actually in organizational behavior. I studied and taught leadership. And, Ashley, you can say something about your background maybe, and about, not all, but at least a couple of our fellow professors.
Sure, absolutely. So Tall's being somewhat modest, as he always is. Was one of the most popular professors at Harvard, and his background is his degrees are both from Harvard. So, and he is an absolutely amazing teacher. For those of you who have not yet had the experience to have any kind of learning from Tall. So yes, I rest assured that this is a fabulous program that Tall has created, and that you will love every moment that you get to. Well, I shouldn't oversell, but I think you will very much enjoy the live webinars and the learning with Tall. As far as some of the other professors, we have professors who have backgrounds in science degrees, who are entrepreneurs. We have an individual who has a law degree and also has a positive psychology degree from a university in London. We have a master's in social work professor. My background, I'm a lawyer, and also I have master's in applied positive psychology, as well as some other degrees. And we also have a professor who is currently getting her PhD with an emphasis in positive psychology. So it runs the gamut. They have a lot of lived experience, just like our students. And I think more than anything, what Tall looks for in the professors is someone who loves to learn and someone who's really caring and supportive and conscientious. And so I think you will be very pleased with all of the professors that you have, and you can rotate between us. That they will all be very supportive and, provide you with different and unique insights that will help you on your journey.
Mm-hmm. I assume that there's a website to get further information.
Yes.
I want to talk about it to other people, because there's a few people I think would be really interested in it. But I'm certainly no expert after just listening to the webinar. So would I find that on your website?
Yes, and we will also put the link to the MA program right now in the chat.
Okay, yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susan.
Nice to meet you, Susan.
Yeah.
Anne, and then we will bid you farewell. Hi.
Hi, thanks so much for taking my question. I completed a certificate in applied positive psychology in 2019 and just got super interested in character strengths, and I integrated it into my practice. And so I really wanted to inquire about, if in the program, is there opportunity to do a bit of a deeper dive into character strengths?
Absolutely. I love character strengths. Yes, I absolutely love character strengths. Tall very much focuses on this. And if you join the program, I will talk to you about character strengths as much as you want. I love them. So yes.
Okay, that was my only question.
And Anne, I want to add to it, and Casey spoke about it just very briefly. We have final projects at the end of some of the courses, but we don't call them final projects. We call them forever projects. And the reason why we call them forever projects is because they're always projects that you can then use later. For example, you will, as a final project, create a 20-minute, TED-like lecture. Why a TED-like lecture? Because very often if you just write a paper, you write it, you submit it, you get your grade for it, and it's a final project. It's the end. Whereas with a lecture that you create, we hope that you will use it forever, for as long as you live. And in fact, many of our students have done just that. They actually became TED lectures. These lectures actually became lectures that they then presented in their organizations or to the general public, or they were made into longer workshops. Some of those forever projects became books. So you could do a forever project on character strengths, or on Pilates, or on physical exercise, or journaling, or whatever, or dealing with depression, or enhancing resilience, whatever topic you want, in whatever way you want. But you will go very deeply into this material, and again, apply it in your life, whether it's through the Forever Project, whether it's through the retreat. and learn to apply to others' lives, whether it's in the facilitating happiness course or in the coaching course.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you, Ashley, Vicky, Casey. Thank you all for being here. And what we're going to end with, after I'm going to bid you farewell, is a video of our retreat experience. And if you're curious, stay on and take a look. And as I mentioned, the easy part about this program was the good content. The more challenging part was creating a community of like-minded, like-hearted people. So here is a brief video about the retreat, and I hope to see at least some of you in the MA program or in our certificate program, so that we continue learning and growing together. Take good care, everyone. Bye-bye.
To me, the word that comes to mind the most is connection.
Knowing very authentic and generous people from all over the world, for me, it was life-changing.
Get in here and you know you've got fantastic support in every which way possible.
Didn't expect such a level of preparation, and it is just mind-blowing. You know, they treating us like princesses and princes, or like I'm coming for the best date of my life.
People hug each other, they smile to each other, they support each other, which is amazing because this is not something you can learn. Such a passion towards other people can only come if you have the happiness in your heart and that you care for other people. And the HSI community is the community of people who care for others.